Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Trekyards, your Star Trek saviors. I am Captain Foley.
And I am. Come on.
And today we're here to talk about a threat to the galaxy. Well, it used to be. Specifically the Borg, specifically the Borg in Season 2, Episode 9, Hide and Seek. The Girardi created mercenaries. Why are they not a threat anymore?
Is this a vibe you had while watching the episode? Because I obviously put this in as a show discussion topic.
I did have that vibe. They have laser sights. They are enhanced by nanites. It's probably stronger, more accurate with the weapon because, recoil. They wouldn't be a problem, really. So they should be killing them boom, 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 left, right, and center.
As in our heroes.
Yes. But they're just kind of useless. They're just fodder, essentially, and plot movement along plot things.
And in fairness, so are normal drones most of the time, except when they have shielding. Because there's a certain point where Borg become easy to kill, then impossible to kill. There's a line. As in impossible in the sense of, you know what I mean. That's a thing that happens. But drones have a certain sort of perspective, and I guess all this could be chopped down to their Confederation timeline drones, but the Borg tech for a Queen might be different because it's just a different Queen version. But the nanoprobes, the timeline wasn't changed. Why would it affect the Delta Quadrant? We know it was changed in both backwards and forwards, so all of reality was altered by Q and this change, so all of it's different. But why would the Delta Quadrant's initial Borg construction, how they developed nanoprobes, be changed so radically to give them completely different-ness?
Well, to be fair, she had access to just lithium-ion batteries to have primitive nanites. Then she got the stuff from Soon. Nanoprobes. Then she got the stuff from Soon, which was the upgrade, but they're still relatively new, and it's still not future components necessarily. So they might not be as advanced nanoprobes.
But given that everything is all built of base materials, and she clearly had enough base materials to create nanoprobes successfully to infect what appeared to be about 30 or 40 people flawlessly, as in they were corrupted, created, whatever. It seems odd to think that even mega future nanoprobes would have to create basic versions of themselves. Surely they'd just be able to create... you wouldn't say, well, I can only create nanoprobe 2.1s. They would just, adapt and design internally more intricate nanoprobes.
It wouldn't be as advanced. She is a brand new Borg Queen that was essentially human a day or so ago.
But why wouldn't they be more advanced, though? Because it's a self-replicating device, so the initial device is as advanced as it is normally. It creates replicas.
And actually, she takes this suit and basically the bottom torso of the Borg Queen onto herself. And there's just a shell there. So those are advanced ones there.
Well, because, the Borg from Enterprise, they are identical First Contact Borg. Because they obviously don't have so many techs in their body, but they're able to create new identical Borg tech from their tech. They're not creating substandard tech. They're creating identical tech because that's where they come from. So they should be able to create...
That's because they're the advanced Borg First Contact era. So, of course, their nanoprobes would be more advanced and the best of the best as far as that goes.
Yeah,
so.
And this is a lady that's post that. She's even more advanced. And she's got Queen nanoprobes.
But she's Confederation. We don't know what they basically...
But you wouldn't think the time would be changed that much just from Earth being affected in 2024. That's the change point in theory, so it wouldn't affect the Delta Quadrant Borg. Because Borg have been around for thousands of years. So... It just confused me because we see in First Contact, they get assimilated and they can get up and be... we saw a great... The example is the guy on the deflector dish. He gets assimilated and within about 2 to 10 minutes, he is now fully controlled, fully walking, his face is now assimilated, he's now Borg. So it takes minutes, successfully, and now they've got the power and strength of a new Borg, and beyond that, other stuff gets... whatevered. But these guys just felt like people who are under her control. But she would want to assimilate them fully to give them the advantage of a drone, especially if you assumed like she would bring those with her.
Could be that she didn't have enough resources or nanoprobes with the stuff she got from Soon to actually fully assimilate them. It could have just.
But what does fully assimilate mean?
Like strength enhancements, shielding, all that stuff. Could just be literally mind control. She does touch them and it gets that green glow. So we don't know exactly how far that goes. Maybe she's just not strong enough yet because she is still developing.
But it's still based on self-replicating super advanced technology. Because once you start assimilating, those things replicate inside the body. Like all they have to do is be given 10 nanoprobes, and by every hour there's billions more. So once you start the process, it's started. It's doing its own thing, and then they can simulate more people, and it continues. And if it was a question of strength, then I would have thought she would want to simulate fully 10 Borg who can actually adapt. Then 50. But if nanites were limited or nanoprobes were limited, then you would estimate less people than more people. I would think, because they're just creating people just cannon fodder. I mean, you don't know, and you also don't know what tech Picard has. So, is numbers or strength better? I guess numbers mean more guns, but since they couldn't shoot straight anyway, there was no point in that anyway.
That's for every TV show and movie ever made. The bad guys can never hit.
It is, but it's harder when they're basically robots. Because when you have more strength, you can just recoil. That's it. Like a big, strong guy will have less recoil by its very nature. But it's a training thing, muscle mass, etc. And they're able to. It just seemed very odd to me, the lack of threat they seem to pose.
Mm-hmm. Especially a field of them firing at two people running across the field with no cover. But they made it. Don't know how.
You know what this reminds me of, Stuart? The famous line made by internet geniuses.
Oh, really?
It was super easy. It was barely even an inconvenience. That's the line.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just was odd, because I was really expecting a quick and epic battle sequence set with these Borg, and we got a long, drawn-out, dull sequence with poor Borg.
The Borg were just a non-starter. They were just there to be a problem for 5 seconds.
Because if they'd said explicitly in dialogue, I can't assimilate, but I can mind control, I'd be like, okay, cool. They are purely cannon fodder. That would have been great. A nice little reinvention, but she's clearly like, I am bold, I'm strong, I'm gonna, infect everybody, and then once nanoprobes get in the system, they replicate. That's their entire point. One probe almost can become a Borg everything. That's why it's a disease. That's why it's a plague. And it would have been nice though if throughout the scene they'd got more Borgy even. If they'd started to have technology and like you'd seen a cold Borg with, especially if the Queen was able to create Seven's full implants out of nothing, which means they can do that as well.
Yeah. And speaking of, you got a field in France full of dead Borgs in 2024, most of which probably aren't dead, maybe just incapacitated.
Well, beamed into walls, Stuart. We can assume they're all beamed into walls.
Well, yeah. We got no sense of that. We got a sense that like 4 or 5 of them were beamed into walls. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's obscene to assume that they would pick where to beam them next to Picard's life signs. So I assume they just beamed all of them and they were random and 4 happened to be there. It's a ludicrous little moment anyway. It doesn't mean anything. But nanoprobes also don't, like, they will live on past the body dying. So there's now millions and billions of nanoprobes in France where Picard's going to live.
That explains the French. I'm just kidding.
Bit late for that. But as we know, this time is going to be reset anyway, and none of this matters in the grand scheme. They've erased the idea of time remnants, so they cannot exist once the Federation's undone by their very logic. So they can have these non-consequential battles where, you would think that, there's now thousands more bullet holes in this chateau. How would that affect the future if all the glass has been destroyed? All this level of damage, it might change the future person saying, "Wow, I have to remove 4,000 bullets from my walls." Ripples, etc. All the
I'm not even going to bother moving back in. We're just going to demo the place, sell the land.
Yeah, because it's, you could say, "Oh, it was just World War II," but the shell casings are clearly modern military, or at least when the new Picard comes in, they say, "So what happened? Okay, World War II happened and damage was here. Why was there a clear shootout from early 21st century arms at our chateau? Why is there what? You know, that might change, like you say, the outlook of people moving there. Why was there a massacre clearly at this location?
It would just add to the legend of the police officer that woke up in his car without a spleen. Nobody knows why. It's just also urban legend at some point.
Because they know he got sent to the chateau. They didn't erase that stuff. So a man went to a chateau. He woke up without a spleen. Nothing else is known. That's true though. Bit weird, Stuart. Bit weird. That's gonna be my. I definitely was underwhelmed by the effectiveness of these Borg.
Yeah, thought they'd be a bigger threat for sure.
Yes, or a threat.
Or a threat, yes. Guys, what did you think about the Borg? Were they ineffectual? Did they work for you? Does what you expected? Like, comment down below. We love reading them. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't miss our lives. If you want to join the channel, we'd appreciate that as well. There's a join button. So check all that stuff out, and there's other ways to help us as well, which Sam is going to tell you about right now. Become part of our collective.
And support us directly if you can by super chatting, join those lives. Really appreciate it, love it, and thank you in advance. Or other great ways. Check the description down below. You can buy a shirt if you'd like. Appreciate it. We can need it, and we thank you in advance.
That's right. So until then, he's Commander Cockney.
He's Captain Foley.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.